Shalom, and welcome to this week's Torah portion reading, Tetze. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not a great reader, and I'll be reading out of the ISR 2009 scriptures. A lot of these words, a lot of these names, mostly in cities and places, they give me a lot of trouble. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I'll stumble through it a little bit at a time, and hopefully you don't have to struggle along with me too bad. But I'll just go ahead and get into the reading. I'm going to try to do this every week so that everybody can have a reading in these scriptures, in these verses, since in our fellowship we use them quite a bit. So, like I said, I'm going to try to do this every week so that we can have something to kind of go by in regards to the ISR scriptures. So here we go. When you go out to fight against your enemies, and Yahovah your Elohim shall give them into your hand, and you shall take them captive, and shall see among the captives a woman fair of form, and shall delight in her, and take her for your wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head, and trim her nails, and put aside the mantle of her captivity, and shall dwell in your house, and mourn for her father and her mother a month of days. And after that you shall go in to her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. And it shall be, if you are not pleased with her, then you shall let her go at her desire, but you do not sell her at all for silver. Do not treat her harshly, since you have humbled her. When a man has two wives, one loved and the other unloved, and they have borne him children, both the loved and the unloved, and the firstborn son is of her who is unloved, then it shall be, on the day he makes his sons to inherit his possessions, he is not allowed to treat the son of the beloved wife as firstborn in the face of the son of the unloved, who is truly the firstborn. But he is to acknowledge the son of the unloved wife as the firstborn by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. When a man has a wayward and rebellious son who is not listening to the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and who, when they have disciplined him, does not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city, to the gate of his city, and shall say to the elders of his city, This son of ours is wayward and rebellious. He is not listening to our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let all Yisrael hear and fear. And when a man has committed a sin worthy of death, then he shall be put to death, and you shall hang him on a tree. Let his body not remain overnight on the tree, for you shall certainly bury him the same day, for he who is hanged is accursed of Elohim, so that you do not defile the land which Yahovah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. When you see your brother's ox or his sheep straying away, you shall not hide yourself from them. Return them to your brother without fail. And if your brother is not near you, or if you do not know him, then you shall bring it to your own house, and it shall be with you until your brother seeks it. Then you shall return it to him. And so you do with his donkey, and so you do with his garment, and so you do with whatever your brother loses, which he has lost and you have found. You are not allowed to hide yourself. When you see your brother's donkey or his ox fall down on the way, you shall not hide yourself from them. Help him raise them without fail. A woman does not wear that which pertains to a man, nor does a man put on a woman's garment. For whoever does this is an abomination to Yahovah your Elohim. When you come upon a bird's nest along the way in any tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, with the mother sitting on the young or on the eggs. Do not take the mother with the young. Let the mother go without fail, and take the young for yourself, so that it might be well with you, and that you shall prolong your days. When you build a house, then you shall make a parapet for your roof, so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house when one falls from it. Do not sow your vineyard with different kinds of seed, lest the yield of the seed which you have sown and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. Do not plow with an ox and a donkey together. Do not put on a garment of different kinds of wool and linen together. Make tassels on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself. When any man takes a wife and shall go into her, and shall hate her, and shall make abusive charges against her, and bring a evil name on her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I did not find her a maiden. Then the father and mother of the young woman shall take and bring out the proof of the girl's maidenhood to the elders of the city at the gate. And the girl's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man as a wife, and he hates her. And see, he has made abusive charges against her, saying, I did not find your daughter a maiden. And yet these are the proofs of my daughter's maidenhood. And they shall spread the garment before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and punish him, and fine him 100 pieces of silver, and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought an evil name on the maiden of Israel. And she is to be his wife. He is not allowed to put her away all his days. But if the matter is true that the girl was not found a maiden, then they shall bring out the girl to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done wickedness in Israel, to whore in her father's house. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. When a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then both of them shall die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. Thus you shall purge the evil from Israel. When a girl who is a maiden is engaged to a husband, and a man finds her in the city and lies with her, then you shall bring them both out to the gate of the city, and shall stone them to death with stones. The girl, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. But if a man finds a girl who is engaged in the field, and the man takes hold of her and lies with her, then only the man who lay with her shall die. But you shall do no matter to the girl. The girl has no sin worthy of death. For the matter is like a man who rises against his neighbor and murders him, for he found her in the field, and she cried out, the engaged girl, but without anyone to save her. When a man finds a girl who is a maiden, who is not engaged, and he seizes her and lies with her, and they are found out, then the man who lay with her shall give to the girl's father 50 pieces of silver, and she is to be his wife, because he has humbled her. He is not allowed to put her away all his days. A man does not take his father's wife, nor uncover his father's skirt. Chapter 23. He who is wounded by crushing of testicles, or whose penis is cut off, shall not enter into the community of Yahovah. A mamzer shall not enter the community of Yahovah. Even a 10th generation of his shall not enter the community of Yahovah. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter the assembly of Yahovah. Even a 10th generation of them shall not enter the assembly of Yahovah, because they did not meet you with bread and water on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim. And because they hired against you Balaam, son of Beor, the Pether of Aram Naharaim, to curse you. But Yahovah your Elohim refused to listen to Balaam, and Yahovah your Elohim turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahovah your Elohim loves you. Do not seek their peace nor their good all your days forever. Do not loathe an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not loathe a Mitzrayim, because you were a stranger in his land. The children of the third generation born to them do enter the assembly of Yahovah. When the camp goes out against your enemies, then you shall guard yourself from every evil manner. When there is any man among you who is not clean because of an emission in the night, then he shall go outside the camp. Let him not come into the midst of the camp. And it shall be at the approach of evening that he bathes with water, and when the sun sets, let him come into the midst of the camp. And you shall have a place outside the camp where you shall go out, and you shall have a sharp implement among your equipment. And when you sit down outside, you shall dig with it, and turn and cover your excrement. For Yahovah your Elohim walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore your camp shall be set apart, so that he does not see unclean matter among you, and shall turn away from you. You do not hand over to his master the slave who has escaped from his master to you. Let him dwell with you in your midst in the place which he chooses within one of your gates, where it is pleasing to him. Do not oppress him. None of the daughters of Israel is to be a cult prostitute, nor any of the sons of Israel to be a cult prostitute. Do not bring the harlot fee of a whore or the pay of a dog to the house of Yahovah your Elohim for any vowed offering, for both of these are an abomination to Yahovah your Elohim. Do not lend at interest to your brother, interest of silver, interest of food, or interest of whatever is lent at interest. To a foreigner you lend at interest, but to your brother you do not lend at interest, so that Yahovah your Elohim might bless you in all that you put your hand to in the land which you are entering to possess. When you make a vow to Yahovah your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahovah your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be sin in you. But when you abstain from vowing, it is not sin in you. That which has gone from your lips you shall guard and do, for you voluntarily vowed to Yahovah your Elohim that you have what you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, you shall eat to the satisfaction of your desire, but do not put any in a receptacle of yours. When you come into your neighbor's standing grain, you shall pluck the heads with your hand, but do not use a sickle on your neighbor's standing grain. Chapter 24. Excuse me. When a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of uncoveredness in her, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house. And if she left his house and went and became another man's wife, and the latter husband shall hate her and write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house, or when the latter husband dies who took her to be his wife, then her former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that would be an abomination before Yahovah. And do not bring sin on the land which Yahovah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. When a man has taken a new wife, let him not go out into the army, nor let any matter of be imposed upon him. He shall be exempt 1 year for the sake of his home, to rejoice with his wife whom he has taken. No one takes in pledge the lower or the upper millstone, for he would be taking a life in pledge. When a man is found kidnapping any of his brothers of the children of Israel, and treats him harshly or sells him, then that kidnapper shall die. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst. Take heed in an outbreak of leprosy, to diligently guard and do according to all that the priests of the Levites teach you, as I have commanded them, so you shall guard to do. Remember what Jehovah your Elohim said to Miriam on the way when you came out of Mitzrayim. When you lend your brother a loan, do not go into his house to get his pledge. Stand outside and let the man to whom you lend bring the pledge out of you. And if the man is poor, do not sleep with his pledge. By all means, return the pledge to him at sundown, and he shall sleep in his own garment and shall bless you. And it shall be righteousness to you before Jehovah your Elohim. Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy of your brothers or of your strangers who are in your land within your gates. Give him his wages on the same day, and do not let the sun go down on it. For he is poor and lifts up his being to it, so that he does not cry against you to Jehovah, and it shall be sin in you. Fathers are not put to death for their children, and children are not put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. Do not twist the right ruling of the stranger or the fatherless, nor take the garment of a widow. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and that Jehovah your Elohim ransomed you from there. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. When you reap your harvest in your field and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, do not go back to get it. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, so that Jehovah your Elohim might bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, do not examine the branch behind you. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, do not glean behind you. Let it be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. Chapter 25. When there is a dispute between men, then they shall come into judgment, and they shall be judged, and the righteous declared righteous, and the wrongdoer declared wrong. And it shall be, if the wrongdoer is to be struck, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and be struck in his presence, with the number of blows according to his wrong. 40 strikes he gives him, but no more, lest he strike him with many more blows than these, and your brother be degraded before your eyes. Do not muzzle an ox while it is threshing. When brothers dwell together, and one of them has died, and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger's outside. Her husband's brother does go into her, and shall take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the firstborn son which she bears does rise up for the name of his dead brother, so that his name is not blotted out of Israel. But if the man does not desire to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate to the elders, and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up a name to his brother in Israel. He does not agree to perform the duty of my husband's brother. The elders of his city shall then call him and speak to him, and he shall stand and say, I have no desire to take her. Then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of the elders, and remove his sandal from his foot, and shall spit in his face, and answer and say, Thus it is done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. And in Israel his name shall be called the house of him who had his sandal removed. When men fight with one another, a man and his brother and his wife of one shall draw near to rescue her husband from the hand of the one striking him, and shall put out her hand and take hold of him by the genitals. Then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye does not pardon. You shall not have in your bag different weights, a heavy and a light. You shall not have in your house differing measures, a large and a small. You shall have a perfect and right weight, a perfect and right measure, so that they prolong your days on the soil which Jehovah your Elohim is giving you. For all who do these, and all who do unrighteously, are an abomination to Jehovah your Elohim. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way as you were coming out of Mitzrayim, how he met you on the way and attacked your back, all the feeble ones in your rear, when you were tired and weary, and he did not fear Elohim. Therefore it shall be, when Jehovah your Elohim has given you rest from your enemies all around, in the land which Jehovah your Elohim is giving you to possess as an inheritance, that you blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Do not forget. Every Saturday at 11 a.m., we have a fellowship. We get together and we read the Torah and discuss the Scriptures. You are invited to join us, and you can contact us for directions at area code 337-789-7925. And we hope to see you there. Starts at 11 o'clock on the Sabbath, on Shabbat. Shalom, everybody. See you next week.